Okay, everyone, we are going to go ahead and get started. Hi, thanks for joining us today for our webinar with Spaenaur. Um, my name is Demi. I'll introduce myself more formally in just a second. So today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Akeneo's app for Shopify, and then we'll jump into a fireside chat with Jeff Cameron from Spaenaur to talk about his experience implementing the Akeneo app for Shopify. We'll leave some space at the end for questions. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to explore how Akeneo and Shopify come together to create a better commerce experience. Shopify has become the go-to platform for businesses of all sizes looking to build and scale their digital storefronts. And when you pair that with Akeneo's strength in managing and enriching product information, you get a powerful combination that helps brands deliver exactly what customers expect: accurate, engaging, and trustworthy product experiences. To set the stage, let's take a quick look at Shopify itself. Shopify is more than just a storefront solution. It's one of the most widely adopted commerce platforms in the world. It empowers merchants with flexibility, scalability, and a broad ecosystem of apps and integrations that allow them to adapt to the changing consumer expectations. It's this reach and adaptability that make it such an important partner for Akeneo customers who want to activate product information across multiple channels. The scale of Shopify is really impressive. There are now more than 5 million Shopify stores worldwide, with merchants operating in more than 175 countries. And in North America, 1 in 3 online stores is powered by Shopify. That kind of global adoption shows just how trusted the platform has become. And it also highlights the opportunity for brands to differentiate themselves by delivering stronger product experiences within this ecosystem. We also know that the market around Shopify continues to evolve quickly. Merchants are looking for ways to scale internationally. They're adopting AI-driven solutions to personalize experiences, and they're under pressure to keep product data consistent across channels. This is exactly where Akeneo shines. With Akeneo, brands can centralize and enrich product information, localize content for new markets, and ensure that every customer-facing channel, Shopify included, gets accurate, rich, and optimized product data. That's how you move beyond simply listing products to truly delivering shopping experiences. And that's why we built the Akeneo app for Shopify. With the app, businesses see 3 major benefits. Faster time to market, because product data can flow quickly and accurately from Akeneo to Shopify. Second, smarter product experiences, since enriched, localized, and AI optimized product content creates a better customer journey. And finally, better storefront governance, ensuring consistency, compliance, and accuracy at scale. Together, Akeneo and Shopify help merchants not just sell more, but sell better. Okay, now that I give you my spiel, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Demi. I am the technical product marketer here at Akeneo. I oversee our Akeneo app for Shopify and the messaging related to it. And I'll let Jeff come off mute and introduce himself.
Awesome. Thank you, Demi. Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. To give a bit of background on myself, I got started in the digital world working in wine, actually, for E&J Gallo, a Californian winery. Just to give a little context about E&J Gallo for those who might not be familiar, 1 out of every 4 bottles of wine sold in the US is a Gallo product. So they're
Wow.
incredibly successful, long-standing organization. And working for them gave me the unique opportunity, them being based in California as well, to work directly with the Googles, the Facebooks of the world, and really kind of cut my teeth with some of the best in the digital space. And that was a unique opportunity being based in Canada as I am, and something that probably wouldn't have been afforded to me otherwise. So I spent about a decade in wine before I moved on to cannabis, which is a lot of people in beverage alcohol moved on to cannabis because it was an incredible opportunity. And there I worked for Canopy Growth. So again, at the time, the largest kind of cannabis company in the world. That's where I got my start with Shopify. Both were based out of Ontario, Canada, and it was kind of a perfect partnership. And we launched some of the first CBD e-commerce sites globally. And after that, I moved on to beer, working for a local craft brewery where we also used Shopify. And kind of post COVID, beer online sales wasn't huge previously, but after COVID, everything had to go online. So we really did a great job kind of launching the beer in that space. But then I figured, I've been in wine, I've been in cannabis, I've been in beer. These are all vices. It was time to try something new. And I thought, why not move on to like literal vices, things that hold things together, which is what a fastener is. So think nuts and bolts. So that brings me to Spaenaur, where I am currently. So at Spaenaur, we sell industrial fasteners. We've been around since 1936. So again, long-standing company, still family owned and operated. And again, our bread and butter is kind of hard to find and urgent need fasteners. And what we're really famous for is our 1,700-page catalog, which in a lot of ways, informed what other catalogs became in the fastener space, and is still what we're known for today.
Thanks, Jeff. That I just want to call out that 1700 number. That's super legendary. That's massive. Can you share more about that catalog and what it took to build?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the catalog is fairly legendary. Like I said, it was built in and started in 1938. And yeah, this is a great picture to kind of, give a representation of what one of some of the pages look like. So first of all, a lot of our customers discover us through our catalog. We've been around for so long, we're known within the industry, and we're famous for our catalog. But often, they'll come across pages like this, which are obviously, quite dense in information. And, if you think about translating something like this to the e-commerce space, it's not like we're selling tennis shoes or t-shirts. A lot of tables, a lot of kind of really, dense information that, again, some of these products their application might be going to hold up a bridge or in an airplane. So
Wow.
information accuracy, incredibly important. And again, the catalog is kind of a legacy item where, although it began in 1938, it's evolved and kind of grown like a living, breathing thing. But a lot of the, foundation and insight that went into creating it is still there in the catalog all these years later.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like the backbone of that kind of B2B like fastener space and how customer behavior is evolving. Can you talk a little bit about the shift in customer behavior that motivated you to start to look at different solutions, but specifically Akeneo Product Cloud and the Akeneo app for Shopify?
Yeah, certainly. Actually, if you want to flip to the next slide, I think I have kind of a slide that really captures the shift to digital and obviously our incentive to kind of move to this space. So if you look at the image on your left in 2005, that's at the inauguration of a pope, in this case Pope Benedict in 2005. And you can just see a lonely little flip phone, in the bottom right hand corner, trying to maybe record a black and white photo of the event. Then you fast forward just 8 short years to another cultural event, another inauguration of a pope, in this case, Pope Francis. And just all you see is a sea of digital devices. And, it really, I think those two images capture that incredible shift, not only in the digital space, but to mobile, and where everybody's walking around, with an incredibly powerful computer in their pockets. And then the crazy shift that came with that to shopping online. And then you move into, again, COVID, which even, further increased the push to every business being able to sell online and the importance of that. And then even into 2025, where we see that next, big turning point, which is AI, which is obviously influencing, so much of what is happening in the digital space and specifically e-commerce. But then there's the other lens of that is that when you look across kind of, these last 20 years, organizations such as ourselves, in a lot of ways, we're still kind of trapped in 2020, 2005 because of legacy software. We're kind of a foundation of our business is our ERP, which is incredibly, well built for what it is designed for. but it is not designed to offer a great customer experience on the front end of an e-commerce website. Let me tell you that. So, we obviously we know that, consumers out there have this now expectation to interact with all these incredible websites by Shopify, Amazon, and that customer expectation is those slick, really smooth experiences. But at the same time, our buyers are still in our world. And again, a lot of their ERPs are in the same place. And you think of even healthcare, still using faxes as like a pivotal, way to exchange information. And we're in this weird space where, everybody, on a personal level is used to this, these incredible technologies, smooth e-commerce experiences. But we're kind of trapped by, legacy software that our business relies on that is not built, unfortunately, to, accommodate these new experiences. So the incentive is obviously to get there, and especially in the B2B space where now everything is moving towards offering these great experiences. But the challenge is, finding that solution that would work with, legacy software that can certainly be a difficult thing to maneuver.
For sure. Like that shift, like honoring the past and bringing yourselves into the present is something that really resonates with a lot of our customers. Let's talk about your rollout for a second with of Akeneo and your Shopify integration. Can you tell me a little bit about what teams were involved and generally what was the experience overall? If you have any call outs that you want to mention, that'd be great too.
Yeah, certainly. So, Spaenaur, again, we're based in Kitchener, Ontario, and like I mentioned, we're kind of a small to mid-sized business, family owned, family operated. So honestly, the team that worked on this integration is fairly small. We're very fortunate to have one of our team members be he's a developer, so he can code. He's also a product data specialist, so he's very good at working with large amounts of data, which we have a catalog again of over 50,000
Yeah.
products. So there's a lot of data involved, certainly. And really, he's our power user. And between himself, our Akeneo customer success manager, and of course Shopify, we're a Shopify Plus member, so we have access to their kind of best in class support team. We were able to get it up and running fairly smoothly without access to again to a really robust internal dev team or anything like that. But one thing I will call out is throughout the process, as seamless as the integration was, bad data is bad data at the end of the day, and
Sure.
you really have to make sure that you own your data and that you have a great data governance model in place, which again, helps with a lot. A lot of the heavy lifting on our end was really cleaning the data out of the ERP to get into Akeneo, then to actually flow through to Shopify.
Awesome call out. I always love to say, and I think we talk about this all the time at Akeneo, you can't have good outcomes with bad data. So that's a really, really solid call out. Can you talk a little bit about how the integration has changed how your teams manage product information? I got a little bit of insight about that cleanup, but what's going on right now?
Yeah, certainly. If you want to flip to the next slide, actually, this is again a pretty good illustration of some of the challenges, again, working with data in ERP. So now that we're properly set up in Akeneo, we've gone from working in an interface that, again, is kind of an anachronism, really. It's like a DOS base. You're using short keys. You have like 40 character limits in some instances. So you're using abbreviations to code in all of your data. And is really, again, challenging, from a lot of respects to being able to get that data into Akeneo, this beautiful, modern user interface that has a ton of tools that really allow multiple team members to be in there and managing and making sure that the data is in a place that you want it to be. So that's a big was a big step for us moving forward. And then another good call it is one of the tools that we found incredibly helpful with this process after we'd moved the data into Akeneo was an AI tool to cross-reference our product titles to product attributes. So a lot of our products, our titles are truly just, comprised of the product attributes. So you think of, a screw, head type, length, diameter, drive type. So what we really did in Akeneo, we were able to use the AI to cross-reference, do all of this product's attributes differ in any way from the title we're listing in Akeneo? And obviously that process saved us a ton of time looking at 50,000 products and like a myriad of really interesting product attributes. So that kind of cut down again a lot of man hours, and as well allowed us to be a lot more confident in our product information before syncing to Shopify.
That's really cool. I love kind of seeing like the kind of like practical use of AI come into how people are doing things with their work. We've talked a little about the data, but let's talk about like your PIM to commerce content flow. Can you describe that for me a little bit?
Yeah. So the content flow, again, this is kind of a slide taken again at a very early stage when we were just beginning to incorporate Akeneo to the mix. And again, with the restrictions in the ERP and the limited amounts of data that we were able to store in there, we really had this kind of hodgepodge of different, platforms that we would house different, parts of product data in. Again, very difficult to maintain any semblance of data governance because, information was housed in so many different places with so many different users. So that was a big challenge as illustrated by this kind of crazy map. But really, again, the big change, when moving to Akeneo is again that ability to kind of have that one source of truth and all users in a platform where they can see all of the necessary data in a very user-friendly format. And then really, again, the bulk of that work is done in Akeneo and the data cleaning and organization and product information. And then really the syncing to Shopify is really simple. Once the heavy lifting is done in Akeneo, for us anyways, that information flows through really seamlessly to Shopify and our PDPs. And again, it's been, truly a lot easier and again allowed us to sleep at night a little bit better after we, you know, removed ourselves from this rat race map.
For sure. That makes total sense. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your long-term strategy. So how are you thinking about using Akeneo for your long-term digital commerce strategy? Are you thinking about potential omni-channel or headless, or what are you thinking about for the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. Referencing the previous slide, we're in a lot of ways, we're still unfortunately trapped in 2005 and, making our way with the help of Akeneo and Shopify towards the future. Just that step forward has been such a heavy lift for us historically that we're just thrilled to be in that place to offer that, best in class e-commerce solution that again isn't intensive. But that win for the organization, makes those opportunities that Akeneo and Shopify afford that much more exciting and that much more tangible. So again, listing on different marketplaces certainly might be in our future. When you think about Amazon, you think about Google. Headless certainly, could be maybe further down our roadmap. The space is moving so quickly that, we're always constantly adjusting our roadmap and what our priorities should be. But just to get to this point is such a win for us that, we're really excited about, the future potential that Akeneo will allow us to unlock in the digital space.
I'd love to hear that. That is awesome. Okay, final question before we move on to see if anyone has anything to ask us. If you had to describe the value of Akeneo and Shopify in one sentence to another brand considering the integration, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say that by harnessing the power of Akeneo and Shopify, almost any size business, even one with limited resources, can quickly and efficiently build and scale an e-commerce solution that rivals some of the giants in the space that have considerably more resources. And speaking as somewhat of a veteran digital marketer who's been through a lot in the evolution of digital space, Akeneo and Shopify have made my life a lot easier. I sleep better at night. And again, I'm more and more excited about future developments that, we have access to as a smaller business.
Outstanding. I love to hear that. Okay, with that, we're going to shift into the question sections. So drop those questions right into the Q&A section on Zoom. If you're having difficulty finding that, sometimes Zoom hides it. You'll see a more on the bar with three dots. Click that, click Q&A, and that'll let you submit the question so everyone has a visibility of what you're asking. Um, I do see one question in the chat. I do, as a product marketer here at Akeneo, I do oversee all of our integrations. So yes, I would reach out to your account team. We do have an integration with Magento. Happy to chat with you about it more. We're trying to focus this conversation around our Shopify app. I'll also call out, we do have someone from our product team online. So like, don't think if your questions are too technical or whatever, we are here to like see if we can answer some of those questions for you. Speaking of technical questions, I am going to let Julian go ahead and type this out for you. But just to make everyone aware, the question is from Julie is how many images can you send to Shopify through the app per UPC? And just to surface this answer for everyone, you can sync up to 250 assets per product, including your variant images. So I think we do a really good job here, and Julian, our product manager, can speak to this, or we have really spent a lot of time making sure our Shopify integration services a vast number of use cases and the way our customers would use it. And we allow kind of flexibility with how you navigate your data that's really impressive. I'll call out that we are a Shopify premier partner. So we have this status because of our integration and our tight relationship with Shopify. Okay, I think there's a question for you, Jeff. I will ask it. Mike is asking if you had to quantify the most profound business impact that Akeneo had, how would you do that?
Quantify might be a little challenging. Yeah, the biggest impact, like I said, like my mind first went to sleeping better at night just because of, again, data governance. Our ERP again was so old that again we'd had so many different users in it, adding data in different manners because just of the restrictions of the ERP. Like I said, like character limits, all sorts of little quirks that were built for more so engineers almost than they were for somebody building an e-commerce website. And we just weren't confident in the data, and so when you're starting from that point, thinking about having a public facing e-commerce site live with all that data was quite frankly daunting. And I'd say the biggest value for us for Akeneo again was just having that data moved into a platform where, it was very easy to add whatever we wanted again with no restrictions, different types of attributes, images. Our ERP wouldn't even allow images. So, huge leap forward. And then just again, the ability to have all of these different users in it, checking the data with their own areas of responsibility, but still controlled so that you could see, all of the changes that were being made and supervise that they were being done in the correct fashion. So just owning that data, cleaning it, and then knowing that again, the sync to Shopify was seamless as opposed to a manual. Again, when you're talking about 50,000 product catalog, it's large. It's by no means the largest. There are companies out there with millions of products,
Yeah.
but at 50,000, it suddenly becomes, you can't do this manually. You need, a sync system. You need something that's programmatic. So, that would be the biggest, I think with one, the data, just confidence in our data and ability to have it as kind of a single source of truth. And then as well, the power to, move it over to an e-commerce platform without a ton of manual intervention to really, scale at a speed with our resources that didn't make mean we were going to be launching in 2030.
Got it. Mike had a follow-up question, but I think I understand from what you're saying is like that peace of mind and that control over your data is really unlocking at like even a senior leadership level, the ability for you to have comfort in like knowing your data is safe and that you can manage it in a way that's scalable for the future. So I think that's really cool to hear. 50,000 or a million SKUs, that is an outstanding thing for us to hear over at Akeneo. Okay, Jeff, I have another question in the chat. How many team members did you have working the data to get it cleaned up and web ready? And how long did it take you to clean up the data for those 50,000 SKUs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So previously in the presentation, you saw again an image of our catalog to give you an idea of again the types of tables and information that was stored in the ERP. That's just really, the tip of the iceberg. So again, a smaller team, I would say there was probably maybe 5 or 6 people involved. Again, this kind of, changed over time as we got the data in a better place and understood, where we needed the most work. So really kind of maybe 5 or 6, the starting point was really, people with product expertise, making sure that all the data in the ERP was moved properly into Akeneo and verified. And then that's where I come in. I'm a marketer, so I'm not going to be looking at a screw, a tensile strength of something from an engineer's perspective. But I
Mhm.
can tell you from a customer perspective what I want that product to look like on a PDP with the right information, so that somebody can make a buying decision. So once that information was out of the ERP into Kino and we were happy with that its accuracy, then kind of the marketing team, myself, my team took over to enhance the data, add things that would give users additional benefit outside of just what you could find in the catalog or what was housed in the ERP. So, smaller team, but it still took us a couple of years, certainly, and again, the data is a living, breathing thing. So, there have been many projects in the past to kind of enhance it. But this latest push probably, we're coming up on 2 years now. But again, smaller team, and it's just going to be constant work to, make sure that that data remains accurate.
For sure. We got two more questions before we're going to go slightly over. Apologies to everyone. So Mike is asking about data normalization. He's saying, so data normalization at the tactical level, leading to much faster and much less error-prone data entry and processing, faster time to market, and less human effort on data entry and management so people can focus on time and tactical and strategy work that only humans can do. I'm assuming he's saying that this is what he's intuiting from the value that your leadership has gotten from this integration.
Yeah, certainly. I go back to that AI tool, right? Is that, when you're talking about a product catalog of 50,000 SKUs, and again, each product having 10 to 20 attributes that can be very different from one another, to go through that manually with team members and eyeballs on it would take a long time. And the ability to use AI to highlight different attributes that maybe not listed correctly, in the title, or might, a certain attribute wouldn't fit a certain category. We can identify, this, why is this attribute on this product? This product is a screw. It shouldn't have this attribute. That exactly. It's, the type of work that you want AI for, because it's just data intensive. It's written by, there are rules involved. So that frees us up to, again, focusing on how to enhance the product data, for an actual customer who, beyond just having the specifics correct and making an accurate, looking at an accurate representation of the product, they get more information that encourage them to buy, help them making a buying decision.
Awesome. Good to hear. Our final question is a little bit technical, and I will, just like quantity, I think they're asking about. Julie's asking, like, how many families does your catalog use? Or are there multiple families for variants? Can you just talk to us a little bit about like what your data structure might look like at a high level.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I have a team member who's definitely the subject matter expert here, but I think so. We have over 500 like top tier product families, and then there's subcategories underneath that, and that could be up, there could be five second tier families, and then up to 60 depending on the given product, category or family. So yeah, like it's very complex again. With if you think about again fasteners, you think about nuts, screws, bolts, these products that they could be differing by a finish. They could be different by a diameter, a head type. So Akeneo's kind of product data hierarchy options
Mhm.
really help us sort that and understand that. And there's a lot of different ways to visualize it. But out of the 50,000 products, yeah, I think at the top level we have 500, and then again, you could go into each and there's, you know, up to probably 67, 70 variations depending on the product family. So I wouldn't think again we are the most, extreme version of complexity in that regard that Akeneo works with by any means, but it's up there. It's certainly pretty complex.
I would agree so. Okay, so I see there's a couple more questions in the chat. We will follow up with the people in the chat. I just want to make sure we're being respectful of everyone's time. So, next steps. If you want to get in contact with us, here is the way to do that. Email contact@akeneo.com or reach out to your CSM. Um, as we know at Akeneo, we think of our customers as customers for life. So please reach out to us so that we can support you. And with that, thank you so much for attending today. Thank you for the interaction, and we will be in contact soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.